If you're anything like me, you've probably spent a small fortune on fishing tackle over the years trying to get the perfect bait for the perfect catch. Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can do that on your own to not only save money, but have your chance at a personal best. Imagine having the ability to mimic the exact prey in your exact fishing spot. I'm talking about customizing your lures and making them yourself to not only save money, but mimic everything exactly as you want it. And make sure to stick with me all the way to the end, because this isn't all about saving money. This is also about custom tailoring your baits to the specific needs that you individually have to not only catch more fish, but bigger fish as well. By the end of this video, you're gonna be ready to take that leap into making your own tackle. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over 5 different advantages to making your own custom tackle. The first one that I'm going to get into is the obvious one, the customization part. Now, when it comes to the customization part, your imagination is literally the limit to what you guys can make and create. This is a creativity component of fishing. If you're a creative person and like to fish, custom tackle is where it's at for you. You're going to be able to play around with sizes, shapes, colors, actions, durability, components, anything that you can imagine playing around with, you can do when you're making your own tackle. And when you're making your own tackle, you can customize every little bit of it. Let's just say you're making a jig and you want to have a certain amount of green, a certain amount of purple, a certain amount of black, a certain amount of red. You have control over all of those different factors. If you want to have 5 strands of purple, you can put 5 strands of purple in there. If you want 4.5 strands of red, you can have that. You can tailor everything to the exact crawfish that you saw that fish throw up a week before. You can do all these little minute things that can give you the edge over, commercialized tackle where they're making everything for the masses that are going to work in most of the different places. Now, there's nothing wrong with store-bought tackle. One of my sponsors is 6 Cents, and they make a lot of great stuff, and they have a lot of really intricate skirts, really intricate color schemes, and I use a lot of their pre-made skirts for my own jigs because I found some that I really, really love. So that is available on the market as well. But if you want to get into the minute little details, what color eyes you're going to put on a custom painted crankbait or custom colored jerkbait, what color paint you're going to put on that jig, what kind of hook you want in that jig, the specific bends in your jigs, all those little different things are totally customizable when you're making your own tackle. So the next advantage I want to talk about in the video is cost savings. One of the first things people think of when they're getting into making their own tackle is the cost saving component of it. Now, depending on how intricate you want these baits to be, the specific types of swivels you might want to have on your spinnerbait, the specific type of hook that you're going to want in your jigs, those cost savings can be smaller and smaller, but you're making a high-end, very premium bait when you start getting the best of the best blades, the best of the best swivels, the best of the best hooks with the best of the best wires, and all these different little components that once you start doing your research, you find can make big differences in your baits. But overall, can you make a jig cheaper than you can buy it? Yes. Can you make spinner baits cheaper than you can buy it? Yes, you can. Can you make soft plastics cheaper than you can buy them? In most situations, the answer is yes. Now, there are startup costs when you're making your own tackle because you're going to have to buy lead pot, you're going to have to buy molds, you're going to have to buy a microwave potentially to heat up your plastisol to make soft plastics, you're going to have to buy the colorants, the glitters. There's going to be startup costs, but in the long run, it will be cheaper to make your own baits than to buy them in the stores. So right now, while I'm filming this video, it's March. All over the country, these fish are either pre-spawn, they're spawning, or they're, a couple months away from the spawn if you're way up north or something like that. And what you need when those bass are spawning is a great pair of sunglasses. The sunglasses that I turn to when it's the spawn, and any time of the year for that matter, are Waterland Fishing Optics. Waterland is a sunglasses sponsor of mine, and they make awesome polycarbonate and glass lenses. They have a bunch of different frame styles to suit everybody's different needs. They have one specifically designed for bed fishing, and they have a lot of on the water and off the water frames as well. Head over to the waterlandco.com website and use discount code LUNA15. It's going to save you 15% off anything that you buy on the website. Using that code not only saves you money, but it lets them know that I sent you. So the next advantage I want to talk to you guys about is creativity and innovation. We've touched on this a little bit, but we're going to go a little bit deeper now because the creativity and innovation part isn't just in the colors that you choose or the plastisol that you choose if you want a harder plastic or a softer plastic, or picking higher end hooks or higher end blades for your spinnerbait, for example. This can get down to the mold itself. And these molds, especially when it comes to making lead-based baits, are customizable. You can do little things to modify your molds that make big differences. For example, one of the small modifications that I like to make to my Ultra Minnow spinner jig mold, for example, that's the one I use to make spinner baits. It's a dual mold Ultra Minnow spinner jig mold. If you see me catching fish on a spinner bait, 99.9% of the time, it's from a spinner bait I made from that mold. I like to add a wire keeper into that mold, and that's as simple as either taking a Dremel tool and making the little notches inside of that cavity in order to, accept that little tiny wire form. Or what I do is I lay that wire form in the particular mold where I want it, close up the mold, make sure everything is exactly where I want it, and then I bang on it with a mallet or a hammer in order to create that cavity for that little wire keeper to go in. Some of these little nuances are going to help you catch more fish because you're going to be more efficient if you have that wire keeper on your spinner bait, because you're going to be able to keep the trailer on there for longer. You're not going to be spending as much money on those soft plastic trailers because they're going to be a little bit more durable having that keeper on there. So I've just mentioned a bunch of molds that I use all the time in my fishing. The Diner Shiner mold, the Ultra Minnow spinner jig mold. Doesn't matter if it's lead or soft plastics. I have a ton of dual molds. They make soft plastics and lead molds, and they got everything you need on their website. If you're going to go to their website after watching this video, please use my affiliate link that is down in the description. Also in the description is a product list that's going to show all the different molds and some of the equipment that I've been talking about in today's video. So that way, if you want to go and get anything, get into tackle making after watching this video, it's listed out in the description. Super easy for you. Please use that affiliate link if you go to the Do It website, so that way they know that I sent you. So one of the other advantages to making your own tackle is being able to tailor your baits to specific conditions. So let's just say normally you're fishing and you fish clear water, and you have a lot of clear water baits. Behind me, I don't know if you can see it on camera or anything like that, I have a lot of tackle on the pegboard behind me. Most of that tackle is tailored specifically for clear water fishing because that's what I do 90% of the time. However, you have those situations where you want to custom tailor something, maybe because you have that front come in, got a lot of water that came into your lakes, and now the lakes are muddy, so you're going to need some black and blue, some June bug, or maybe you're going to travel and go out of town and you need to tailor something specifically to the conditions or specifically to that lake, which is something that's paramount for me when I went to the Delta a couple years ago. So one of the reasons why I mentioned the Delta specifically is because I caught my personal best largemouth bass on the California Delta with the Ultra Minnow spinner jig mold in a custom colored spinner bait that I made. I made the most red spinner bait that I think I've ever seen in my life. I painted it red on the lead part, had red eyes, had red blades, had a red skirt, and then I added a green pumpkin trailer to that spinner bait, and it caught me an 8-pounder on the California Delta. The fish on the California Delta love red, and for whatever reason, that red spinnerbait gets bigger than average bites. I don't know what it is about the red on the Delta. I don't know what it is about the red spinnerbait, but every time I've thrown a red spinnerbait, I get above average bites. I don't get a ton of bites on that red spinnerbait, but the ones that I do get are above average, and I've caught my personal best doing that. So in addition to customizing your baits for the specific conditions, the specific colors, you're able to do that on the fly as well. For example, when I go fishing, a lot of times when it comes to spinner baits and buzz baits, I have a bunch of them made up with no components on it. So it's just basically the lead poured onto the hook with the wire. They're painted if I want them painted, or unpainted if I don't want them painted. What that allows me to do is play around with blade combinations on the fly. So for example, if I have a gold blade on my buzzbait and they're not eating it, and I think the buzzbait bite should be there, but maybe that gold blade just isn't getting the job done, I can switch it to a black, or I can switch it to a white, or I can switch it to a silver. Same thing when it comes to the spinnerbait, because everybody knows that spinnerbait blade combinations make a big difference with the spinnerbait bite. Maybe you need that big Colorado on there, or maybe you need 2 small double willows. Having those components at the ready with unmade, incomplete baits gives you that ability to play around with it on the fly. Takes no time at all to do that on the water. Literally, when I was up at Lake Shasta recently, I ran out of spinner baits that were completely made up. I think I had 5 or so, and I use a light wire, so they kind of aren't as durable as a heavier wire is, but I feel like that smaller, thinner wire gets me more bites. I was able to put those spinner baits together on the fly after the tournament day was over to be able to get me through the rest of that tournament. If I just had store-bought spinner baits and I ran out, I'm stuck. But with the ability to make this tackle, I'm able to have a lot more on hand, and I can customize them to the specific lake, specific tournament, the specific conditions. Another advantage to making your own tackle is that it's a giant learning experience. Every time you make your own tackle, you're going to learn something. Every time you catch a fish on your own customized tackle, you're going to be learning something. You're going to be able to do trial and error. You're going to be able to try things that you probably wouldn't try if you were buying it from the store, because you're having that ability to save some money when you're making it. Maybe you want to make an orange jig for whatever reason, and you can make it. Whether you catch fish or you don't, you learn something. Okay, they don't want an orange jig, or maybe you're on to the next hot jig color at your lake and they want that orange jig. Who knows? But what my point is that you're going to start learning little nuances about different types of baits and what is making those fish bite those baits. For example, I've learned a lot about salt with pouring my own soft plastic baits. Salt not only makes the bait softer, but it also changes the rate that bait's going to sink. The more salt you put in the bait, the more quickly it's going to sink. The less amount of salt that you put, the more slowly it's going to be sinking. Now, if you put a giant hook in there, obviously that's going to change the sink rate and everything like that too. But the salt will assist you in getting that bait to be a little bit heavier. Maybe it's a really small bait and you want to fish it on a really light jig head or something, and you want to put more salt to help you cast it a little bit further. That's something that you can do when you make your own tackle. Maybe you want to have no salt in the bait at all, and the only ones that you can get from the store have salt in it, but you want that same shape, just no salt. Well, now you can customize and make your own tackle without having that salt, and it's going to be a little bit more buoyant, and maybe it will float. Maybe it'll just sink super slowly. But those little nuances are going to be able to assist you in replicating bites, because you know exactly what you put in that bait. So guys, as you can see, there's a ton of different benefits to making your own tackle. I've listed out 5 of these advantages in today's video. And if you want to watch me make some tackle at my house, in my garage, just like you can, make sure to click on the video that's on the screen right now. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.